welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new vlog. For this one, I had this idea that I really wanted my friends to be able to pick my TBR, but I didn't want them to know that they were picking my TBR. So I didn't want to just like say, hey, vote on my next book, or like vote an emoji, because we do that all the time. We'll put emojis into the chat if we can't decide what we want to read, and people will pick one and it would be super obvious that's what I was doing. So I had to come up with like some super random ways that people wouldn't know why I was asking these questions. So hopefully I've pulled this off. So I'm aiming for 5 books for this vlog. I've got 5 little like subgroups, I guess. So I've got the hot mess chat, where the majority of my booktube friends, we are all kind of in a WhatsApp group together. I've got the 2 D&D groups that I play in. So one where Ash from Ash's Bookish Life is the DM, and one where my cousin's husband Rob is the DM. Rob does YouTube as well. He's got the Island of Rob gaming channel, which I'll leave link down below. He does mostly on Twitch, but he has highlights and stuff. You should definitely check him out. And then I had my K-pop chat, which is an Instagram group where there's a bunch of us that just kind of spam each other with K-pop stuff. And then the Discord that I have for the channel, James Roadhouse. So I tried to come up with a kind of question that I felt would not draw too much suspicion to make them think I was talking about books, so that they wouldn't know what they were voting for. And I started with the hot mess. To give you the kind of vibe of the hot mess chat, I don't feel like anyone figured out why I was asking this, and I think this just speaks to how random that chat is. I posed the question. I still can't, if I've got away with this, I still can't believe it. So let me find the message. So I said, don't ask why this is a thing I need to know, but I have a very random question for you guys. Who would win in a fight, John Wick or Michael Myers? The best hitman in the world, or the guy who always seems to get back up? And then I provided a poll, and I was like, I should have just done a poll, haha. When I tell you the conversation this triggered, we were doing pros and cons. People were like, this is a real tough one, because if anyone's going to get up, it's going to be Michael Myers, but if anyone's going to put someone down, it's going to be John Wick. Becca was like, I don't know if I can vote on this. I haven't seen either of them. So I was like, okay, fair, but like, who do you think would do it? Like, the master assassin or the guy that no one else has been able to kill? And it was so close, and honestly I wasn't expecting it to suddenly be like a debate, but there was a few of us that got properly into this debate. Anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there was a winner. But first, let me tell you how this was going to work. So before I posed the question, I had already assigned a book to each character. So the book for John Wick was 3 Assassins by Kotaro Izaka. It's this one. I think that's how you say it. It's includes in the title, Assassins. So I figured, perfect. Assassin in title, John Wick's an assassin, good to go. For Michael, I put Night Shoot by David Sodergren, because it's like a slasher. And I think on the back it says like, or in the description, it says very reminiscent of 80s slashers. So it was perfect. To start with, John Wick was a clear winner. He was flying. But then the more discussions that went on, Michael did kind of claw it back a little bit. Good old Mikey. But in the end, John did win. My old pal John. I apologise if you can hear the music. Danny is cooking. So I shall be reading 3 Assassins by Kotaro Izaka. Let me tell you what this is about. So this first came onto my radar because it is I think it's like the first book in the series that Bullet Train is part of, and I know Bullet Train recently got a movie adaptation, so I'm pretty sure Bullet Train is book 2. I don't think they're necessarily like majorly linked, they're just kind of in the same world maybe, but I decided I wanted to read the first one first. So I managed to get it on my Kindle, and it says, Suzuki is an ordinary man until his wife is murdered. To get answers and his revenge, Suzuki abandons his law-abiding lifestyle and takes a low-level job with a front company operated by the crime gang Maiden, who are responsible for his wife's death. Before long, Suzuki finds himself caught up in a network of quirky and highly efficient assassins. The cicada is a knife expert, the pusher nudges people into oncoming traffic, the whale whispers bleak aphorisms to his victims until they take their own lives. Intense and electrifying, 3 assassins delivered a wild ride through the criminal underworld of Tokyo. So, It's a man. He's on a revenge mission for his wife. John Wick also lost his wife at the beginning of the movie, but really, he's on a revenge mission for his dog, which is highly relatable. But I think this is going to be a good time. I think this is going to be a good, well, yeah, I think it's going to be a good time. I was like, well, I'm assuming there's lots of death, but I mean, that's still a good time to me. In fiction. In fiction, just to clarify. If the tone of the book is anything like the tone of the Bullet Train movie, which I'm purely basing on the trailer because I still haven't got around to watching it, but if it's a similar tone, I think I'm going to really enjoy this. So I'm going to go start it and I will check back with you when I'm halfway through. It's been slightly longer than expected since we last spoke, but I am now halfway through Three Assassins. I've been so unfocused today. This should not have taken me as long to get to 50% because this book is like, what, 270 something pages? But then I did read 50% of it today, and that's what, 100 and some? There's 100 and something pages, so that's pretty good going. But I have been very unfocused. I was getting distracted by TikTok, by Yahtzee on my phone, TikTok again. Danny had something on the telly and I got distracted by that. Just very distracted. But am I enjoying it? Yes, I am. It's strange because it's very, very different to my usual sort of book. So it's about this guy and his wife was killed and he's trying to kind of like get revenge. And then there is these three assassins and he becomes kind of like embroiled in them. And to start off with, it felt very separate because you get the perspective of him and then two of the assassins. And I was like, but how do they all link? But they are slowly kind of starting to intersect. And it's actually really interesting. Like, obviously these assassins are terrible people, okay, because they kill everyone, but they're also really interesting characters. There is a whole heap of trigger warnings for this though, because one of the assassins basically convinces people to kill themselves and there is descriptions. So I would say if suicide, particularly by hanging, is a trigger for you, stay well away because there is quite a lot of description about it. So it's not something I would recommend to everyone. The character, the whale, the assassin that does that, is one of the most interesting characters. He has a lot of stuff going on and there's just something about him, like, it's hard to talk about without spoilers. Obviously what he's doing is terrible and he is a terrible person, but he's very interesting. I know this sounds so weird. Like, I really like how he's been written. He's very fixated on one particular book. He's got a lot of stuff going on up here, which I don't want to say because of spoilers, but there's a lot of kind of like weird shit around him. There's also this other assassin called Cicada, who is horrendous. But I like him. He's awful. He kills indiscriminately. Jobs that other people wouldn't take on, Cicada will do. He would be more cut up about like killing an animal than a human. But I don't know. I just feel like if this was a movie, because I know Bullet Train's a movie, I don't think Three Assassins is, but if this was a movie, he would be entertaining. Sounds terrible. I know. One thing I will say is that I've highlighted a bunch of stuff in my Kindle version of like highly relatable political thoughts. There was something about, like, I think it was Cicada said something about politicians only care about like themselves and the people in their jurisdiction. Shouldn't they be doing things that benefit the whole country, like the whole of the country's people? And it was just, yeah. And there was another one where I think like a politician character said to someone, I think it was the whale, like about being honest or trustworthy or something like that. And the whale's inner thought was like, a politician has ever just like been honest about anything and got to the point, like without beating around the bush and all this. There was a few things. The author, whose name escapes me, clearly is well aware that politicians majorly suck. And reading this right now, I'm finding it very relatable and understandable because, yeah, it's rough. I need to go to bed because I have to go to the office tomorrow. Last week I worked from home all week because there was like works being done in the office. But now I actually have to go in to the office, which I'm actually kind of pleased by because last week, ooh, it was long. I didn't really take any of my lunch breaks, and I was working late just because things were so frantic. So I'm looking forward to being in the office tomorrow, even though I'll probably have my headphones on a lot because it's still a busy day tomorrow. But after tomorrow, I think things will start to ease off. It's just my busiest time. But I will endeavour to finish 3 Assassins tomorrow and report back. I'm hoping, I don't know if it's going to be 5 stars, but I'm feeling like a 4.5 could happen. It depends on what happens in the second part of the book, I guess. So watch this space. But yeah, hopefully I'll be speaking to you tomorrow. Apologies for what is happening on the top of my head, but I finished 3 Assassins by Katara Izaka, and I want to tell you about it and talk about the next book because I'm about to go and run a bath and I want to, read in the bath. So let me tell you about this first. So I finished this last night. I invested, first of all, it's been slightly longer than I intended since we last spoke. Only by like a couple of days. But I think I said, oh, I'll finish it tomorrow. I did not. Work savagely kicked my ass. So I didn't read. I existed. But then I did read last night because the night where I was like, I can't read, I just need to exist and hope for the best, I decided to treat myself to one of those Kindle holders that you attach to like your bedside table and like a clicker. And then last night I set myself up and I was literally like in a ball, just like this, until I finished the book. And honestly, it's such a great invention. Like, was the most chill I've ever been. I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it a 4.5. So it didn't quite hit 5 stars, but I did really enjoy it. And while I was reading it, I kept thinking, this would make a really good movie. I was like, someone call Guy Ritchie because he would eat this up. What I really liked about this book is it started off feeling like almost 3 separate stories, and then it just slowly merged together and they started to cross over, and it was really, really good. I will say that none of these assassins were John Wick level. Well, maybe one was as clever. One was very clever. But yeah, I don't know whether they're kind of his level. But I still think this was a great book to pick to put with John Wick, if that makes sense. Every single person in this book is just like not a good person. Like even the good guy is kind of very shady. Like some questionable decisions have been made. I wasn't expecting anyone to be particularly good. This is about assassins in the underworld of Tokyo, so the criminal underbelly. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't expecting any morally good people. But yeah, everyone's just kind of really shitty, and I loved it. I thought the writing was good. I thought the characters were really interesting, particularly the whale and cicada. I really liked those 2 characters a lot. I thought they had really interesting personalities and really interesting kind of storylines. I think particularly the whale, his storyline was really, really good. But I also just like cicada as a character, even though, once again, terrible people. I'm now really excited to read book 2, which I do have on my Kindle, so I would like to get to that at some point. Because like literally, it dropped in like the 99p deals a couple of days ago and I was like, purchase. 4.5 is a great start. So well done, Hot Mess. At the moment, you're winning. Is this a challenge? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's not make it a challenge. Not everything has to be a challenge. But 4.5 is a great start. Now I am aware that no one in Hot Mess knew what they were picking, but fantastic choices were made. So since I started this vlog, I've been asking my questions, using my wiles to get my picks in, and I actually have ended up with all the picks back, so I kind of know what I'm reading. I just haven't had a chance to tell you about them because I took too long to read the first book on account of the aforementioned work shenanigans. It was just period end. Nothing like bad happened. I was just it was just very busy. So now I'm trying to decide which way to go. And I want to use my Kindle again because that is so much easier to read in the bath, and that is literally what I'm about to do. So I think our next book will go for the D&D group where Ash is the DM. So I'm in 2 D&D groups. I have my original D&D group with Rob as the DM. That's the one where we have literally just finished a 9-year D&D campaign. We're about to go on to Vampire Dark Ages, maybe a little bit of Cyberpunk, and then we're going to cycle back to D&D. And then recently, Ash asked if I would like to join a D&D group that she was setting up with Becca and a couple of friends. So yes, jumped at the chance, and I thought, let's get those guys involved. I knew very quickly that what I wanted was for everyone to roll a d20 and give me their numbers, and then I was going to use the average of the rolls to choose a book length. So I had 1 to 5 would be 401 plus, because I don't want to read a long book. 6 to 10 would be 301 to 400. 11 to 15 would be 201 to 300. And then 16 to 20 would be less than 200 pages, because I love a short book. However, I wanted to be careful about how I did this, because I promise you there is nothing more terrifying than getting a random message saying, can you roll a d20 for me? So I had to think of a way to do this without making people panic and think that I was doing something shady. So I said, I was a bit sneaky. I said, I'm trying to decide something for my backstory. Could I get a d20 roll from everyone to help me decide? So the rolls came in, and I gotta say, everyone rolled pretty well. We had a 10, 2 15s, and a 19. Becca, with the 19, shot that up, and we ended up on 11 to 15. Well, actually the average was 14.75, so close to being under 200 pages, but 201 to 300 pages is still pretty good. So I was having a look at things on my shelves, things on my Kindle, and I've decided to go for Mr. Monster by Dan Wells, I think. Yes, Dan Wells. This is book 2 in the John Cleaver series, which starts with I Am Not a Serial Killer. Now, it's been a while since I read I Am Not a Serial Killer, but I really, really enjoyed it. And it's basically about this kid who is kind of obsessed with serial killers and starts to notice that he has a lot of tendencies. So he puts himself into he gives himself these very strict rules to stop himself from becoming a serial killer. And then people start dying around the town, and he's trying to figure out who's doing it, because there's an actual serial killer now. That's kind of the basic premise of book 1. I really, really enjoyed it. I did read a recap, because I was like, I know I really enjoyed it, but do I remember what happened? And I was literally reading the recap when I was trying to decide whether this was going to be my pick. And I was reading the recap, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, now I really want to read it. So it kind of, once I read the recap, it kind of made the decision for me. So I'm going to go start this. I appreciate I won't be able to tell you too much about what's going on if it's going to be spoilers for book 1, but I'm still going to read it, because I actually want to read a sequel for once. Doesn't happen often unless it's manga, so let's just go with. Okay, it's Friday. I'm on a half day from work. I've just finished. I'm about to do some editing, but I wanted to let you know that I am now halfway through Mr. Monster. I'm not sure that I'm enjoying this as much as book 1, but I am still having a good time. So I'm going to do spoilers, because it's really hard to talk about the things that I'm enjoying in this book without talking about spoilers. So this will be spoilers for book 1 and 2. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then look away now. You go? Good. So in I Am Not a Serial Killer, obviously there is the serial killer. I won't go into too much detail, but there is the serial killer, and John ends up killing the killer, right? So he has now killed someone, and the book is very much about him kind of dealing with that, and the fact that this Mr. Monster side of him that he refers to, this he's almost created another person that he puts all this on. So it's Mr. Monster that wants that, and John is going to stop him almost. And it's now become a lot harder for him to kind of keep Mr. Monster under control, because now it's got a taste for killing. you know, it's done. He's done it now. Look, he's done it now, and Mr. Monster knows that feeling. So he still has all his rules, he's still trying to live by them, but he started to bend them. He started to like do the occasional fire because it's a release and it kind of keeps Mr. Monster in, if that makes sense. He's played by these awful dreams of what Mr. Monster wants to do to the girl down the street, but he is also very attracted to the girl, and there's like a connection, and he is being put in situations where he has to talk to her, which is one of his rules, is like, don't get overly familiar. And it's really interesting being in his head because he has to actively stop himself from like stalking people. He's actively making these calls to prevent that from happening. So it's really really weird because obviously you and I, well, I don't want to speak for you, but you and I, we don't have that issue. Like, I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, if I get too close to this person, I'm gonna start obsessing over them and I'm gonna start following them around, and I must stop myself from doing that. So it's really strange. All these steps that he's taken, he can acknowledge, he can notice when things are getting to that point, and he obviously has these steps to prevent it. But it can be like a little hard to read about because he's your main character. You're in his head and you do sympathize with him because he is trying. He's really trying to do the right thing and to be a good, well, not necessarily be a good person, but he's just trying to like not be a bad person. And it's hard. It is hard for him. And now there is this new serial killer, and he is once again kind of embroiled in it. He's fixated on the other killer, and he wants to kind of like figure out who they are and why they're doing it. But other people are starting to question John, and kind of like pick on parts of his personality that make them suspect, shall we say. So it's almost a very similar story to the first one, but the stakes have been kind of upped because now he's killed someone, so now it's even harder to resist, and there is more scrutiny on him, and more people are aware of his like condition. This what do they call it? He's basically a sociopath, but they don't call it that because he was underage. So at the start of this book he was 1 month away from 15. He's like just turned 16. So yeah, people are kind of more aware of that condition. There's a few people. So like I say, I am enjoying it. I definitely am enjoying it. I mean, I am reading it fairly quickly. Like when I sit down and read it, I'm reading it quite a lot, but I think that it is slower paced than I remember the first one being, because I'm pretty sure I read the first one in like a day. Like I could not put it down. And I'm not getting that as much with this one. So maybe it's a little slower paced, maybe because there's so many similarities plot wise to the first one. I mean, this is a 6-book series as well, and I'm kind of like thinking, how does it keep escalating, which then does make me intrigued to carry on. So I don't know, we'll see. I don't think I might try and get this finished today. I'm going to London tomorrow with my cousin, so we are going in the morning and then we're staying over until Sunday and we'll come home Sunday. But we are going to a Tim Burton exhibition at the Design Museum in London, so I don't know what it's going to be like. I'm assuming like videos and pictures and behind the scenes stuff of Tim Burton work, so we both really love his style. So I'm excited to go and spend the weekend with her, but I'm not sure I'm going to get much reading done. I did last night sit and reshuffle my entire plan for the month and just push things back and take things out and all sorts of things, so I feel a bit more in control. There was a time there where I was like, I don't know how to get back on track, but I figured it out, and I just have to keep reminding myself no one knows what the track is apart from myself, and nobody cares. Nobody is going to be like, hey, you didn't put that video out when you specified, or you didn't put a video out today and you normally do. No one cares. No one cares. So. My plan this afternoon is to try and get as much editing done as possible, and catch up on a few things. I'm going to pick Jay up from school, we're going to go to Tesco's in the library, and then I'm going to just try and read. Maybe I can finish Mr. Monster, in which case I'll be back. And if not, then I'll try and take some stuff in London, but I can't promise anything. Either way, it's going to be a couple of seconds for you. So I'll see you in a second. Hello, it is 5:30 on the following Saturday. I've struggled, okay? In the week since we spoke, I have barely read anything. That's not true. I have read a book because I did a buddy read with Meg and Chloe, but for this vlog, I've not done well. Hopefully you've just seen some B-roll footage of our trip to the Tim Burton exhibition, which was absolutely fantastic. We had such a good time. So we kind of got to King's Cross. We managed to get over to Paddington in like 15 minutes on the tube. It was super easy. Checked into our hotel, sorted all our stuff out. And then it was only 15 minutes to Kensington High Street, which was the nearest station to the exhibition. And we were trying to wonder what to do for dinner, and for lunch, sorry. We had thought about getting afternoon tea because they had like a Tim Burton one at the Design Museum, but it was like £40 per person. So instead we went to an udon place that they had at Kensington High Street station, and it was so lovely, really, really nice. So we ate that, and then off we went, and we like wandered around this exhibition for 2 hours. They had stuff from his really early career, his sketchbooks. They were playing some of the home movies he did when he was like a kid on, like, I think it was like on a Super 8. They had those like projected, and then they just had like loads of stuff from the film. So they had all the models from Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse by Frankenweenie. They had artwork, they had costumes from the movies, and it was just fantastic. Such a good day. And after that we went to a wasabi at Kensington High Street station again, and got like this really nice salmon teriyaki with like spicy cucumber and edamame beans. Went back to the hotel and ate that and loads of snacks whilst watching Black Phone, which was fantastic. And then the next day we went to the station. Well, we weren't going to have breakfast at the hotel, and then we were really hungry, so we went and had breakfast, but she very kindly like only charged us for one. And it was like one of those things, like, you know, when you get like an ARC in exchange for an honest review, like if you get NetGalley, it was kind of like that. She was like, oh, I'll give you I'll only charge you for one if you just leave us a review, because we've not been open very long. We were like, yeah, no problem, because we had fantastic service there. Every single staff member that we spoke to was so lovely. We asked for some extra stuff for the room and it got to us so quickly. The room was so clean and comfortable. So we were very happy to go on, and I think we both left 5-star reviews for the hotel because it was fantastic. And then off we went to King's Cross. We went to Hatchett's first of all at St Pancras, and then we went to Wasabi and had the exact same meal that we had the night before for lunch because it was so nice. And of course I have purchases, so I thought I'll just show you them now. So I bought 3 books and 2 bookmarks. So the first things were from the exhibition. So I got this bookmark, which is I don't know who it is, but it says, "My name is Jimmy, but my friends call me the Hideous Penguin Boy," and I just thought it was cute. I just really like the design. And then this is The Girl Who Stares, I think, and both of these are from The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy. Oyster Boy? Oyster Boy. So this is The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories, and it's like short stories, but it's written, I think, mostly in verse, so it's like poems, but it's got like, it's Tim Burton, so it's got like his artwork, and I'm sure they'll be weird, and I'm here for it. So I'm very excited to read that. My cousin Wendy has read it, and I think there was either a series or a movie of Oyster Boy, and she loved it. So that was my purchases from the Design Museum. Oh, and Wendy also got me some socks. They're really cute. They've got like little ghosts on, but they weren't really Tim Burton. They were just in that area, but they were really cute. And then when we went to Hatch's, which, how cute is this bag? I thought that she was going to give me just like a paper bag or like a little plastic bag, but that is super cute. And I bought two things. So I got Salt Slow by Julie Armfield. I think this is the short stories. Yes, this is her short story collection. So Julie Armfield wrote Our Wives Under the Sea, which I loved, and I've been wanting to pick this up for a while, so I decided to treat myself. And then I also got My Husband by Maud Ventura. I have been really interested to pick this up for a while because it's about this woman who's like obsessed with her husband but doesn't think that he's obsessed with her back or something like that. I have been wanting to read it. I was just going to kind of get it on Kindle or something, but then I picked up the paperback and that was all it took to convince me, because it was just really floppy and I thought it'd be nice to read. But obviously I am super intrigued to read it anyway. I wasn't sure about getting this because I do like the hardback cover, and this is kind of not as exciting, but that is exciting. So happy to get both of those. And because it's like a Waterstones or linked to a Waterstones, I was able to use my card and I got £10 off because I had a £10 voucher. So they only cost me a tenner. So one of those was free. Girl math. Or book math. All week I have been trying to finish Mr. Monster, and I have just not been motivated to read. Apart from the buddy read, and I did enjoy the buddy read book, but for some reason I just was really struggling to pick this up. I have been incredibly slumpy in March. This is March. I've been incredibly slumpy in March, and I don't know whether that was me or that was this book, if I'm honest. I can't say that I loved this book. I can't say that I hated this book. I just kind of read it. I think I'm going to give it I think I'm going to give it a 3.5. I was fluctuating between a 3 and a 3.5, but there are parts of this that I really enjoyed. I still like the main character. I liked parts of the plot, but for a book that is under 300 pages, this dragged. Like, this felt like it took such a long time to read. And I don't know whether that was me. Maybe if I just sat down and finished it all, I would have really, really enjoyed it. But I was struggling to feel motivated to pick it up. And I know that I could have DNF'd it, but I genuinely did want to find out what was going to happen. I wanted to know how it was all going to end. I can't believe that this is a 6-book series. And I think that I really, really loved book 1. I think I gave it a 5-star. And the direction it's going now, I'm just not sure that this is something that I'm going to continue, because I'm not sure that it's the way I wanted it to go, but I understand why it's the way it's going. If you've read any of this series, then maybe you'll know what I'm talking about. I can't bother to do a spoiler section, but basically there's a part that comes into play in book 1 that is now being expanded on book 2, and going off something that was said at the end of Mr. Monster, I just don't really care enough to continue, because I can see where it's going to go and I understand why it's going in that way, but I just think that I don't want to read any more of this. I'm not saying I definitely won't. Maybe I'll pick up book 3 if it becomes like really cheap on Kindle. Maybe I'll give it a try, but I'm not like rushing to continue this. I'm not like dying to know what happens next. I'm kind of, I can't think of the word, not blasé. I'm really struggling with words at the minute. I'm not interested enough to continue right now. So it was a 3.5. It was okay. So obviously this vlog is not going super to plan, but we have 3 more categories of friends who I gave challenges to, and I'm still going to do them. I'm going to try and do them all today. Now, I know what you're thinking, Gemma, it is 5:30 on a Saturday, and here is another failure of me being an adult for you. I've only been awake for 3.5 hours. I've achieved nothing in that 3.5 hours. I don't have my child. He went to Granny's, and because I stayed up till 3 a.m. to finish Mr. Monster, I was so determined. I was going like, you're going to get up at like 10:30 and you're going to read everything for your vlog. And then I woke up at 2. But I'm still going to read everything for this vlog. We're just going to go with the vibe. And the vibe is we're going to fill everything else with manga. That's what I'm in the mood for. I'm in the mood to read some manga. So I'm hoping that everything else that my friends have picked, I can do manga for. So I know I can for the next one, because I gave my my K-pop Instagram group, which we call the Delulu Girls, I gave them this challenge. They didn't know it was a challenge, but I shared my Recitify, I think it is, of my top 10 songs and top 10 artists of February, and I got them to send me theirs, and I compared, and the person who I had the most in common artists with, I was going to read something with their name on the cover. That's the plan, okay? So I sent them my Recitify with my top 10 artists. The person with the most in common with me was Sophie, which was 3 artists, which I was surprised actually, because I thought there would be more crossover, but everybody else, like Fee and Lisa, we only had 1 in common. Me and Livy had 2 in common, and then me and Sophie had 3. So I think this month there would be more crossover, but again, it would be, I think Sophie would still win this month, because we have a lot of favourite bands, and we've both been listening to Ghost massively this month because a new single was released, and we both love Ghost. So anyway, Sophie was the winner. I have been scouring my shelves. I was like, there has to be a manga with her full name on the cover. So it doesn't have to be like in order. I just had to be able to find all the letters in her name anywhere on the cover. It was hard. I kept struggling. I kept thinking I'd found one, but then there was no P. P was where I was struggling. But Blue Period has come through, okay? Because we have, oh, this is going to be difficult, S in the name. Then we have O, P, H again in the surname with an I, and then an E. Sophie. Sophie. So I'm going to continue Blue Period. I'm going to go and read this now. So I have really been enjoying this series, even though I'm only 2 volumes in. It's about this guy who's kind of a delinquent, and his dad is like, you know, you're young, you've got to live your life, and his mum's like, you need to work really hard and you need to make a life for yourself and like do good things. And he doesn't really do anything for himself because he's kind of pulled between these 2 completely different ideals. The only thing he really does for himself is kind of like smoke and drink and hang out with his friends, but he's never really like found a passion for anything until he discovers art, and now it's like him finding something he's really passionate about and discovering this other side of himself, and it is so good. So I think our Chinese has just arrived, so sorry if you heard banging on the door. I'm going to eat Chinese and then I'm actually going to do some reading for this vlog, because oh my god, I know that I can do this. I know that I can read this much manga in one day. 4 manga, 3 manga, no problem. We've only got 3 left. I can do that. I can do that. We're going to do that. I look a hot mess, but just go with it. It's 11:30. What am I doing? At 5:30, I told you I am going to read everything for this vlog today. I'm going to go away and read it now. I ate my Chinese. I played Yahtzee on my phone for an hour. I got in the bath, then realised I'm washing my hair tomorrow, so I didn't bother washing it. Got out and was like, wow, your hair looks terrible now because of like the steam from the water. So I'm going on Becca Sprints tomorrow and I'm going to look delightful, but it is what it is. And then I scroll TikTok. And now it's 11:30 at night and I have only read one thing, but I did finish the period. This was exactly what I needed. This was a 5 stars. I am enjoying this series so much. I know nothing about art. Not a damn thing. Like, I have been to museums and stuff and I look at art and I'm like, it's pretty, but I don't get it. It's just, everything just is very pretty. Like, I can tell things are good to look at, but I don't always get like the symbolism and stuff. But this tells me so many like little details I wouldn't think of. I'm not saying like I'm understanding art now, but it's kind of nice because the main character doesn't know these things about art either, so he's learning as he goes as well. And there was a couple of colour pages. With colour pages in manga, it's kind of like a graphic novel page, right? So they kind of look like that. But in this, it's like a painting. Like, there's so much, trying to get the glare off, there's so much like texture, it almost looks like brush strokes, and I just love that. And that is also true just in some of the panels as well, because the panels, hang on, let me find one. Oh, this is a great example. That's like art. The way it uses like light and shadow, the way he is, like his, it all just looks fantastic. There's another gorgeous bit in this. It's a 2-page spread and I'm really gutted because you can't completely see it because you can't flatten it out, but like, it's so hard to show, but can you see? Like, it's just stunning, honestly. It's really beautifully drawn. I'm enjoying this so much. I don't really have too much like to say on the volume. You've got more of him kind of learning different techniques, and there was like a really good moment. He got some like praise for his art and he was like, oh, I'm actually good at this. And I was like, you've always been good at it. And it's like him finding that self-belief is really lovely to see. I just am enjoying this series so much. There's been a couple of things that have been dropped in this volume in particular where I'm like, there's something going on with another side character and I have questions. But just overall, I love this series. I love the way it's drawn. I love the subject matter, even though I do not understand art. So it's a really accessible introduction to art because you learn about all these like different techniques and these different art styles and materials and artists, but in the form of this manga. And you're just following this young guy finding his passion. I can't recommend it enough. Did I say it was a 5 stars? Because if I didn't, it's a 5 stars. I'm going to try and do at least one more tonight. Obviously, I should get the rest finished on Becca's sprints tomorrow, but I want to do at least one more tonight. So I think I'm going to do next. Yeah, I'm going to do the D&D group where Rob was the DM. Is the DM. Oh, he's still the DM, but the campaign is over. The 9-year campaign is over. And it was a whirlwind at the end. Oh my gosh. So the last few D&D sessions, we've been making sure to do them as like the big D&D days. So we all go around Rob and Wendy's house. We get there in the morning. We have like a late breakfast. We chat. We like catch up. We normally play some D&D. Then we have like some lunch. Well, actually, we normally chat and then we have lunch because we've chatted so long. And then we play D&D. We stay for dinner, and it's just a really nice day. So obviously, we wanted to make sure that when the campaign ended, we were all there in person and spent the day together. So the last 2 sessions have been that way because we thought we were going to finish it last time, but we couldn't run as long because Tom wasn't very well. So we all went round. It was a great day. We won, and nobody died, which we were all highly shocked about, let's be honest. There was a twist at the end, and then we had to fight a Tarask. When I told this story to the other D&D group, I said Tarask and 3 people gasped. But so we survived. We got to send our characters off to like their happily ever afters, and it was really, really good. And we started talking about the next plan. So we're playing vampires next, Vampire Dark Ages, I think it's called. I just call it vampires. And then we're thinking of maybe doing like a cyberpunk, maybe a cyberpunk one shot, we're not sure. And then we're going to eventually go back to D&D. And so we were just like chatting about what we would do next D&D wise. And I was like, I saw an opportunity. So I had tried to do something else with this D&D group, but it didn't really work. So I had already assigned a prompt to all the classes before we went to D&D day, because I tried to do something on Discord around Baldur's Gate. It didn't really work. So I was like, I'm going to try and think of something else to do. And then as soon as we started talking about it, I was like, right, okay, remember what classes people say, because everyone was saying like, oh, I might do this class. And I was like, okay, the one that gets mentioned the most will pick my prompt. So I was like frantically trying to remember. I was like, yeah. And then as soon as I sat down, I was like opening up sheets and just like, they said this. And because I wanted to get Rob involved, I was like, oh, what would you play? And he's like, well, it depends what the campaign needed. So I said, well, the campaign that we just finished, like if you were coming in as a character, what would you have picked? So I wanted to get like answers from everyone. Obviously I didn't put my picks in. I just went off what everyone else said. So there's 4 people and I ended up with 6 classes, and luckily one of them was mentioned twice. So we had 1 for barbarian, 1 for monk, 1 for paladin, and 1 for sorcerer. And then 2 people said, oh, maybe like a wizard. So I was like, right, wizard has been mentioned more than once. Good to know. So the prompt that I put for that was purple on the cover. Let me explain this, because you're like, is that something you pulled out your ass? No. So I play Baldur's Gate 3. I'm really enjoying Baldur's Gate 3, and I really love Gale. And Gale is like a wizard character, a wizard companion, and he wears purple. Like he has like a purple, I can't remember if he wears that normally because I've changed like his cloak, I've changed his robes, but when you kind of go back to camp and you settle down for the night, everyone goes into like civvies, like civilian clothes, and he has like a purple shirt. So that was where that came from, because I was like trying to think of something to link it to Gale. So I just need to read a book with purple in the cover. I was really proud of my prompts for each class, because they all had like a link to either something I'm doing in Baldur's Gate or have done in Baldur's Gate, or a D&D reference to myself or someone else that I know. Like if somebody had picked ranger, my prompt for that was going to be something based in a city, which is totally against being a ranger, but it's because Saria, my character for 9 years, was the world's worst ranger, and she like was born in a city and everything. She always lived in a city, and she was just more a rogue than a ranger. So anyway, I'm not going to go through them all, even though I'm really proud of them. If anybody wants to hear my reasoning behind any of the prompts, you know, let me know on Discord. But I have an easy pick for what I'm going to read for this, because it's already on my monthly TBR, which, shocking no one, I have not touched apart from my buddy read. So I'm going to read the next bind up of Tokyo Revengers. Is this the right thing to be doing before I really should be going to bed? Bearing in mind, I think the last 4 bind-ups have made me cry. Possibly not. Are we going to do it though? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Obviously, this is volume 23 and 24, so I can't get too specific, but it's basically about a guy called Takemichi who used to be part of a gang when he was a teenager, and they weren't really that bad, but now they're awful. Like, they do terrible things, and one day he finds out that they have killed his high school girlfriend who he never got over, and something happens and he's able to go back in time, and now he's trying to save everyone. He wants to save Hina, his high school girlfriend. He wants to save all the members of the gang to stop them turning into these terrible people, and also himself, because his life is not great and he would like to kind of change things, and so he's just trying to improve everything, fix everything. And it's been a wild ride. So I think we're almost at the end. I can't remember exactly how many volumes there are, but I don't think there's many bind-ups left, and I'm scared. I'm sure this is gonna be fine. I think I'm genuinely looking worse and worse in each clip. It's almost 2 a.m. I read Tokyo Revengers in like an hour, maybe slightly more. I was done. I think I picked it up at like 11:45. I was done by 1. What have I been doing for the last 45 minutes, I hear you ask? I've been scrolling TikTok. For no reason. I might need to delete TikTok. It's getting to that point. I'm actually also quite concerned on what I do with my hair if it looks this bad already, because tomorrow I'm supposed to be on sprints at 12. I might need to try and get up early and wash it out. Oh God, what am I doing with my life? Let me tell you about Tokyo Revengers. I did not cry, but something did happen in like the first 100 pages, for 120 pages, like the first volume of this bind-up basically, where I was having a time. There were two things that have me scared. Well, three if we count, you know, the contents of the actual manga. The first off was that it says no happy endings on the back, which is ominous as fuck. And then the beginning of like the second volume, it says Tokyo Revengers, the final arc begins, in huge letters. And I was like, crap, yeah, it's coming to an end and it's really scary. I just continue to absolutely love this series. I really can't say too much because it's volume 23 and 24, right? Yeah, but it's just so good. And I just love these characters so much. There's a couple of characters in this that I love a whole lot, and I just love any kind of information that I get about them and what they're up to and what they're doing. So I'm very glad I read this. It was on my TBR anyway, so I can't tell you too much about it. So maybe as a vlog book, it wasn't super exciting, but I had a great time. So we have one more category thing. Obviously I'm not going to read this today. This is going to be tomorrow on Becca's Sprint's job. But earlier when I said, oh, I'm going to try and fill every one that's left with just manga, that was stupid for me to say, because I physically am not able to do that, because the final category was I put it to the Discord, Gems Roadhouse, and I was curious about this anyway. I just wanted to know, like, were people in the Discord manga readers or book readers or both? Because quite a lot of my friends are now both. So I was just like, I'll just do a poll, and if manga wins, I'll read Kaiju number 8, volume 11. If books win, I'll read the light novel for Kaiju number 8. And if both wins, I'll read both. And both won. So I'm reading both of these. I wanted both to win, if I'm honest, because I wanted to read both these things. But just because of how the vlog has gone and how behind I am and the state of me in general, I probably could have done with just reading one, but I'm going to read both. I'm going to read both. Kaiju number 8 is one of my absolute favourite things. I freaking love this series. This is about a guy called Kafka Hibino who wants to join the Kaiju Defense Force. So basically, Kaiju, these massive monsters, they just appear, and then there is the Defense Force that puts them down. And at the start of this, he is a cleaner. So he has to clean up all the bodies, because those bodies don't just disappear, they have to be disposed of. But he wants to be in the Defense Force. Then something happens, and he becomes part human, part Kaiju, and he tries again to join the Defense Force. And then this, obviously, is the same thing, but this is short stories about some of the members of the division. So we've got, I can't remember who they're, which ones it's for. Hang on. There's a chapter on Reno, a chapter on Shinomiya and Hoshina, and then Kafka himself. And I love all 4 of those characters. They're probably 4 of my, well, to be honest, I love everybody in this. I was going to say they're probably my 4 favourite characters, but then there are others that I love just as much. It's a great series. It's got some really good characters in, so I've got to get used to that ring light, sorry. But yeah, this is like a treat. This is a treat for me. I'm so tired. I'm going to go to bed. I sounded like that girl in that TikTok. I need to calm down. I'm an adult. So I don't think I'll check in when I'm halfway through. I think I'm going to read these, and then I'm going to come in and tell you about them. If I didn't say, which I don't think I did, this was a 5 stars. It's upside down. This was a 5 stars. I'll come and tell you about these when I've read them tomorrow. This might be the worst vlog I've ever done. It started off so well and I'm just slowly falling apart as the video progresses. What's happening? Okay, it's taken me all day, but I have finished both kaiju things. So this I finished in like 45 minutes. I absolutely blew through it. I feel like my anticipation for this series is always so high that as soon as I start reading it, I'm just like blasting through it. It was a 5 stars, absolutely fantastic. I just continue to love this series. I'm pretty sure volume 12 is on its way to me, and thank God. I need to read that soon. It's just so good. I love the action in this. I love the characters more than anything. Fantastic. This, I think I'm going to give it a 4.5. Okay, so this is a light novel and it's set in a period early on in the manga, or earlier on in the manga, and basically these reporters come, this like television crew, and they're following the members of the 3rd Division, or the new recruits of the 3rd Division, for like 5 days and just kind of like filming their training and stuff, and doing some interviews. And so each chapter is pretty much from one character's perspective about that time. And the 4 characters that they've used are such good choices, because it starts off with Reno, who is this kind of like real sweetheart. He's a good boy. He just wants to do like the right thing. He is very loyal to Kafka. I wouldn't say, not that he looks up to, he does kind of look up to him, but he's just very loyal to him, very attached, and wants to do right by him all the time, and it's really sweet. And he's constantly trying to improve himself so that he can be better and that he can save more people. Like he's just a sweet good boy. And then chapter 2 was from Shinomiya's point of view, and I love Shinomiya. She is very sure of herself because she is like super powerful. She knows that she's talented, she knows that she can kick butt, and more fool anyone who underestimates her because she is a small girl, because she will kick your butt. And in her own way, she is also quite loyal to Kafka, so that's quite fun as well, to be delving more into that side of their relationship. And it filled in some gaps. Her chapter filled in like some gaps between one volume / episode and the next, on how a certain event happens. Very hard to explain without giving spoilers for the series, so that's all I can tell you. I'm sorry. I also loved that we had a chapter from Hoshina. That's Reno, by the way, I forgot to say. I love that we had a chapter from Hoshina because he's kind of like the vice captain, so he is doing their training. He's like in charge of them, but we also got to see some of his past on how he ended up in the 3rd Division. He's the only person that uses swords rather than or katanas rather than guns, at least at this point. And it's like a dying technique. So it used to be obviously the main technique, because in this world kaiju have been around for a really long time, so it used to be the main technique, and now it's kind of obsolete. But he is really, really powerful with them. He is really good, and he is utilized really well, and it's kind of like showing how he ended up being the vice captain and all of that kind of stuff, which I really enjoyed. And then the final chapter was from Kafka's point of view. He's such a goofball. I do enjoy, though, in the early story where he was kind of mostly just providing backup, like when he first joined the Defence Force, he's providing backup and using his past as a kaiju dismemberer. Cuts him up, yeah. He uses that because he's able to find where the cores are. So to like kill a kaiju, you need to shoot it in the core, like I guess kind of like a heart, right? But they're in different places for different species of kaiju, and he's able to help them in that kind of regard, which I really like. And just overall, they're 4 of my favourite characters. I love the dynamic at play. I love how it's all played out. So why is it only a 4.5 rather than a 5? Well, it was a little bit repetitive. I don't know whether it was put out in like sections in like a magazine or something, but we got explained who people were and their standing within the division quite a lot. There is a guide at the front. I feel like that was enough. Like, I didn't need to be told time and time again, oh, this is Hoshina, he's the vice captain. Like, and he put in a report as her vice captain, and Hoshina, vice captain of the 3rd division, came forward. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know who he is. I'm reading this because I'm a fan of the series. I know that Hoshina's the vice captain. You don't have to keep telling me. I think that was the only thing, because I didn't mind that some of the stories overlapped. It was constantly like reminding me who people were. I know. And if I didn't know, if there was one of them, I was like, oh, wait, I can't think who that is. There is literally a picture. And then I'm like, oh yes, I remember them from the manga now. So that was the only reason that I'm knocking half a star off. Maybe it's a bit petty, but I don't care. So this is a great way to end the vlog, honestly, because I don't know, it seemed to die a death somewhere in the middle, but I think we pulled it back. I think we pulled it back at the end. Annoyingly, I think not only have you moved, but this light is now much brighter, because this stand has a light at the top and a light at the bottom, but the light at the bottom shines right on my glasses. I mean, this one does a little bit. So I only used the top one and it ran out of battery. So I was like, oh, I'll just spin it. Tried to spin you, had to move the phone, moved the whole thing, and obviously this light has more battery and is much brighter, I think. Never mind, hey. I think, considering how I thought this vlog had died a death in the middle, we pulled it back. And I actually had a really good time. I was just struggling to read in general. So shocking no one, the 3 5-stars that I've given were all for the manga. So manga just is more of a hit for me. Books can be more hit and miss. I feel like I give way more 5 stars to manga in general anyway. So, and it wasn't shocking considering I continued 3 series I really enjoy. I don't want to do a full run through because we've just seen it all, but I think quite obviously my least favourite book of the vlog was Mr. Monster, which I'm really shocked by. A 3.5 is still not a bad rating, obviously, but I fully expected this to be a 5 stars because book 1 was a 5 stars and I just was sure that I was going to continue to love the series. I'm now not sure whether I'm going to continue, but we'll see. We'll see. I think I'm having a crisis now because I'm trying to pick my favourite of the vlog. It's obviously a manga, but which one is it? I think, going purely off the 3 volumes, so putting aside my love for each individual series, the best volume was Kaiju number 8. This was action-packed. There were some really good moments for some of my favourite characters. I got to know a character that I have been on the fence about. I got to know him a little bit better and I actually now have a lot more appreciation for him. And just in general, I really enjoy the series anyway, but this was just a great volume. As was this. And this. But if I'm forced to pick one, it's going to be this. But I do feel like I'm being forced by myself. So that is everything for this vlog. I had a really good time with it. I felt super sneaky the whole time because I was trying desperately not to give away what I was doing. So hopefully I pulled that off. I would like to do something like this again, but I feel like I'll have to be extra sneaky to do it again. But maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try. In the comments below, let me know any thoughts that you have on what I read, and also let me know who you think would win in a fight between John Wick and Michael Myers. Because I'm still thinking about it. I'm still not convinced that I know what my answer would be. If you just want me to know you're here, that purple heart is always appreciated. Purple heart. That is a heart. That is a heart. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, you'd like to see more content from me, remember to hit that button, leave a like if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!